Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for all their wonderful comments and questions and all that good stuff. I appreciate all the comments that I get, and I like to get some feedback from you guys, so I know what you want to see. If you have questions, I sometimes forget that, I've been doing this for a long time, and I forget that either people are doing something a little differently now, or they're beginners, or I forget. So I need to be reminded sometimes with questions and all that good stuff. Please keep the questions coming, suggestions, comments. I love it all. It gives me an idea of where to go. So, since we only have 18 minutes, I haven't fixed the camera thing yet. Let's get going with this. I'm going to work in this book today, and from all your wonderful comments, you guys like to see me doing stuff, so I am going to work in this book. I did continue to put some more collaging in, but I'm not going to show you all that just yet. We'll have that be a surprise. I had to go back and fix some of it. That glue I was using kind of stuck some of the pages together, and so I had to go back and re-glue and do some stuff. But anyway, so I'm going to work in this book a little bit more, and we're going to do some tissue paper fun today. I've been using tissue paper for a very long time. I like tissue paper, and I know everybody's doing deli paper now, but I can't get it. The only way I can get it is if I order it online, and I don't order things online, so I can't play with deli paper. So I'm going to go back to my tissue paper. I like to paint on tissue paper, spray paint on tissue paper. This makes good collage stuff. I also have been known just to take an ink pad and press it onto tissue paper, give it some color. So, that's just some suggestions to do. And then I have a bunch of hunks of colored paper to do with things with later. I do emboss on tissue paper. It is a little tricky. What I do is I do the normal embossing on stuff. And when I go to use the heat gun, I touch a little corner of this against a piece of paper, kind of like that, and use the heat gun against the paper so it doesn't fly away. It kind of gets the fingers a little bit, but it gets the job done. This one is embossed, and then I did take a little bit of a duster and some ink, and I like to just put a little bit of color on white tissue paper. I do emboss on colored paper. I'm going to show you some of that too. But I like just to add a little bit of color sometimes to stuff. And the duster, I think, just gives it a light coat of stuff. So I do that quite often as well. So I do sometimes use pattern paper. And again, I do like to switch it up a little bit and kind of randomly dust color so it's not so stark and nice. I'll do that, and it takes a while, but you get the idea. I just kind of do it randomly. I like random, and it gives it some interest. It also wrinkles it a little bit, as you can tell. I'm doing it on top of the wire. I don't necessarily do that every time, but, So you can do that, and you can add other colors. You can add a little bit of purple, except that doesn't want to add. Okay, purple doesn't want to add. But I will do that. And then after I get some color on it, I do rip it up I forgot to get my glue out. All I've got is that nasty old glue that I used the other day. So I guess that will have to do. And I am just going to put glue on the paper. Tissue paper is a little fragile, and gluing it is not always the best option. And since I am going to glue stuff on top of stuff, putting the glue right on the paper is not too bad. So I can add some of that just like that. I really don't like this glue. I need to get rid of this stuff, which means I need to use it up. I guess this is the perfect way to do that. Okay, so let's put some right here, right there, just like that. I probably should have wrinkled it a little bit more. It adds a little something. Before I glued it down, I should have wrinkled it. Just glue this wrinkled bit right on top. And I like to leave all the little creases and stuff. It adds some texture and it adds some interest. Put a little bit right there. And then I am going to add a little bit more color. Oh, see, now it's working. It really likes the glue. And there's places I should glue down better, and I'll get to it later. I'll go back and do it so you can see what I'm doing now. Just get on with it. So that's a great way to add some tissue paper. Another thing I like to do, let's go to a different page. Here's one. I like to stamp white paper, and I will stamp with, I'll stamp this with black. Let's see, I usually use just a regular stamp, and I have used, in fact, here, let me just get this out of the way for a second. And I like to make patterns on tissue paper, and I'll use a permanent ink so that if I put paint over the top, it won't move. But I will just print paper like that. I like this little square one, and just make my own little designs. I overlap like that, and I do sometimes. I've got this wonderful lightning black. I like this stuff. I've got my sponge underneath so I can use it through a stencil. In fact, we'll do that. We'll stencil a little bit on this tissue paper using that, since I have it out. And this is just a great way to put some designs on some tissue paper, give you some pattern, give you some color, do some fun stuff. And I'm not doing it very accurately. I want it kind of strange, not real. Well, it's better than I thought it would be. And I'm gonna do a little bit this way. And then I am going to use one of my handmade stamps, and I will talk about handmade stamps in the next video. And I overlap stuff so that I got plenty of stuff to choose from. And when I start ripping that tissue paper around, I never know how it's gonna rip. So let me put this one away for a minute. And I always put my sponge underneath with a rubber band so I can reuse that sponge and I'm not contaminating any other stamp pads. I've got the same sponge I use. Just a tip. Let's see. I have got some homemade foam ones, or a homemade, let's do lines. I'll do the rubber band stamp. Like I said, I will do the next video. I think I'm going to do some handmade stamps, and I will just, these aren't very accurate, but that's why I like them, because they're a little different and you never know how they're going to stamp. So then I've got this piece of tissue paper, randomly stamped and stenciled and got patterns on it, and it's fun. And then I'll go ahead and take a duster and dust some color on it. Oh, I've got a whole bunch of stuff back here I didn't even know. And I'll randomly do some color on it. And then I can go over and paint on it too, and we'll do that as well. So just adding just a slight bit of color, not a lot. And let's add some of this color. We better hurry because the camera's going to turn off. So, gives you an idea, just a little bit of color on that. Now you can save that for later or use it right away. As I have a lot of these pieces, and I'll just spend a day doing stuff to tissue paper, and then I have it. So then you've got all this good stuff, and start ripping it apart into little pieces, little pieces, little pieces. And I like to rip before I start gluing because I get glue on my fingers, and then it's a big old mess. You know how tissue paper gets when it gets all messy. So then I've got my pile of tissue paper, and then I start gluing it on a page, and I'm going to glue it off the edge a little bit, and I'm going to overlap it, and I'm going to make sure there's some crinkles in it. And just keep going until I get an interesting background. And I don't have to cover the whole page. I can come back and put some acrylic paint on it. Let's see, let's get something different up there. I like to glue it down pretty well. You can use matte medium for this. That's a great, it's better than a glue stick. But I wanted to be able to turn my pages and not get the heat gun out, so I am kind of cheating a little bit, but matte medium would be much better at this. So let me put this little guy here. Let me put some more down here. And some more over here. We'll use it up. Oh, that's a big piece. A big piece. So, there we go. And like I said, you can go back over it. It's all sticky right now, but I don't want to get it glue on my brush, but you can go back over it with the duster or with acrylic paint or whatever, and you can do that. We still have a little bit of time. I probably should have put some on that side. I'll just put that there and glue some of that in later. So let's get another empty page. Now, I like this tissue paper because it's got little tiny dots. So that you can, it was wrapped, somebody wrapped a present with this, so it's got some tape on it. So I'm just going to rip this in pieces, some fairly big pieces, and it's really wrinkly. And I am going to glue that down. Leaving a lot of wrinkles in there. We like wrinkles. We like them. Oops, I ripped that real well. And I'm going to put some more layers on here. Make sure it's good and covered. Okay, and I will clean that up later, but we're running out of time. And then I will go and stamp over it. Random stamping. So, we're going to run out of time, and my battery light is flashing, so I'm going to have to recharge before I do the next video. But I will do that. And we will continue to work in this book, and I will show you how to do some handmade stamps or found stamps or some things to use as stamps so that we have some interesting stuff in our book. So I'm going to stop this for now, and thanks for watching. I should have put that on top of that. Have a great day.